We're gonna call to order the meeting, special board meeting of the Board of Education at 5:02. First item to the agenda, call to order, roll call, members of the Board of Education, Arlene Perez, President, present, John Contreras, Vice President,
Present.
Hector Lafarga, Junior Clerk,
Present.
Dr. Teresa El Marino, member,
Present.
and Esther Mejia, member. Present. Perfect. So next item, well, are there any other comments to closed session?
No, we don't have any.
No, okay. So next we'll be adjourning to closed session and we'll try to be back by 6 o'clock or sooner.
Right.
And to reconvene an open session. Item 4A, roll call members of the administrative cabinet, Dr. Vegas.
Yes, yeah. Good evening, everyone. And so we have here Dorso Delgado,
Present.
Dean Cochran, present. Jasmine Chavez Diaz,
Present.
Isela Castellon,
Present.
Dr. Virginia Kelson. She'll be joining us shortly. Jaconda Rodriguez Padilla.
Present. Perfect. Item 4B, pledge of allegiance. Do we have any? Hector, do you mind me guys the pledge of allegiance?
I do not. All rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, item 5, adoption of the agenda. Dr. Villegas.
We do have a few amendments. First, I'd like to pull 2 items. One is in section 9B2, group classified confidential salary. I want to pull that for a later date. We will need a little more discussion with that. And also pulling from the Division of Human Resources C1, the job description, again, just for a little further discussion that we will be bringing back at the very next board meeting. Also, we're gonna have some amendments to this.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, so we also have an amendment to the contract related to Section A, Division of Special Education for item number 2, A2. The contract with Pro Care Therapy, we have an amendment to attach. And the amendment stipulates additional information to the contract.
Thank you.
school psychologist.
Any other?
No, that's all.
Board, right?
Motion.
Motion, can I have a motion? I'm so learning. Can I have a motion?
Second to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, so moved by Dr. Marino, seconded by Ms. Mejia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Abstain? Perfect, so 5-0. Awesome, move to section 6, report of actions taken in closed section.
And so we have no actions to report. Well, session.
Perfect, so we're on to number 7, public comments, items on the agenda. Just a reminder, these 3 minutes. Do I have to read this whole thing? No? Okay.
No.
Dr. Hayes, do we have any?
We do have one person that's online, Lourdes Serrano.
Good evening, board, cabinet, community members, teachers, and classified members. Excuse me, I'm homesick. So I guess I'm the only one. I don't know if I can surpass the 3 minutes, but I do have 2 other cards just in case I do surpass. Last week, I asked the board how much information you guys had in regards to the agency aides. And I come again to you with bigger concerns. On 2 separate occasions, I asked the district about agency aides, if they would be on the school board agenda. Their response was no, but here they are back again. And that's the reason why I'm here to speak again. I'm going to share some dates with the board to understand that I wanted to have this conversation sooner than later. And the reason why is because back on March 15th, we had layoffs. of 16 employees, instructional aides, 4 behavior technicians. These layoffs became effective as of July 1st of this year. And those employees separated from El Rancho. I don't have the number of how many were contacted to come back, but that's beside the point at the moment. The first week of August, just 1 month after the initial layoff, Dr. Kelson notified CSEA that there was staff shortages because of lack of outside applicants. And they wanted to know from us how to contact other people. And they wanted to continue with outside agencies. As you can imagine, it's kind of confusing being a first year president on how this would be. Seeing that there's a layoff in March and then come August, we need more employees again. Could this have been avoided? I don't know. On August 9th, August 21st, we had an initial follow-up conversation. We sent a letter to demand to negotiate of the uses of outside agencies. At that time, the district had not advertised or posted any postings for the vacancies. Despite the letter, the district never responded to CSEA in response to negotiate of outside agencies, nor discuss excuse me. November 17th, CNCA sent a request to an informal grievance conference for Dr. Kelson. We pointed out a position, an instructional aid of severe handicap of 6 hours had not been posted or advertised for applicants, which became vacant on September 1st. On November 28th, we sent an email to Dr. Kelson notifying the district that needed to fill several vacancies. And they were going to do that with outside agencies due to lack of applicants. On November 30th, Dr. Kelson met and we reviewed an informal grievance with the district. Failure to advertise a 6-hour instructional aid SH position. On December 1st, we demanded to bargain the outside agency aids, and the district had not advertised again. December 7th, CSEA received the following and not received the following informal grievance conference. And CSEA, we decided to file a written grievance with the district. All these things have been happening, and I understand the need. Sorry. We feel that the district is avoiding to post 6-hour vacancies or acknowledge the need of the district. I'm sorry. I understand the need of hiring agency aides, but we should be doing what the agency aides are doing. I'm sorry, the consultants for these agencies. We should do the same thing what they're doing. They're giving them better wages and they're giving them health care. We should be doing and offering the same thing. And I don't see that happening. So unfortunately, we have not received a response from district over this issue in 5 months, despite our numerous requests. So with the board action extend and extension services contract taking place today, CSA will be filing an unfair labor practice charge with the Public Employment Relations Board due to the failure to bargain. And I will be sharing this with the school board, with Dr. Villegas, everything that we have tried to do. And it's so unfortunate. And I'm trying my best here to communicate, to bargain in good faith with the district and my negotiating team. But there seems to be some type of failure of communication. That's all I have to say right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You get well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more cards, Dr. Villegas?
No, that is the only one.
Okay. Items 8, public comments, items not on the agenda, yellow card comments, then. So we. We can move on to the next piece, right? Because we already pulled it. Thank you. Item 9, so we go on to 9, Division of Business and Services, item B.
Actually, consent agenda.
Oh, sorry.
Consent. 9.
Yes, thank you. Item 9, consent agenda. 2 items that were pulled, we don't have to discuss because they're pulled for next time. So now we can move on to division of.
Consent agenda.
Oh, I need a motion, thank you. Lauren, I promise I will get this in the, my New Year's goal.
You will.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move. Second.
Thank you. So moved by Dr. Marino, seconded by Ms. Esther Mejia. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Staying. Okay, thank you. Now we can go to the business and services, correct? No.
And discussion.
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, 10A. I have a question, Dr. Vegas, because I want to make sure cabinet gets, do they need to be here for the CSB? Do you want them here?
One of the benefits of them being here is that
Okay.
a lot of the topics that you're gonna discuss impact the departments. And so if we're gonna talk about artificial intelligence, or we're gonna talk about any of those pieces that's gonna impact them in some regard. Inclusion, I saw there was one PowerPoint that talked about inclusion, so that would impact actually all of us, but certainly Mr. Cochran. So I do, there's a benefit to that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know it's Christmas week, so I want to get you to your campus.
Thank you.
Really quick, I know Dr. Marino, she's gonna head out, but it was already noted for previous engagement. So today for this piece, I'll just read it. The rationale, Board of Trustees is the educational policy making body for the district. To effectively meet the district's challenges, the board must function together as a leadership team. To ensure unity amongst team members, effective operating procedures and protocols must be in place. The California School Board Association's annual education conference is a premier continuing education program that will assist with developing these protocols and meeting norms. So just for this piece, board members will take about, it'll be a discussion, but maybe ideally for the first round, we'll take 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, just to discuss the sessions we attended. After that, we'll see if there's need for more discussion. One of my goals is not to just discuss, but to maybe the takeaways, right? What are the top 3 things as a board that we want to move on? That align also with the goals and policies. Anyone want?
President Perez, just,
Yeah.
we have some chart paper. I know we had mentioned maybe
Yeah.
charting them. Would you like for us to chart the various things that are being said, and we can have a list of those?
Yeah, is it okay? Do you mind helping me with the Jenny?
Actually, I'd asked, at service.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That in.
Thank you. Go back to your TV days.
Apparently. Here it is. Trifecta was sent on December 8th. There's. So quick.
Anybody want to start? Or,
Can we start with the trifecta?
yeah,
Inclusion trifecta.
Inclusion. Trifecta.
Okay.
so who attended that one?
So I was part of that. I don't know if there was anybody else that attended that one, but it was one that I did attend on my own and I was very moved. It was from a school district that has been trying to obviously include everybody and have everybody involved within our daily activities of school, but at the same time give an opportunity for students that want to join or want to be part or aspire to be the next mentors, the next teachers, the next people within the profession that help students or other people that are challenged live a better quality life. So it's offered as a elective in school, and it's not only in high school, but it's also going down to the middle school levels. What they're doing is they're offering these students these electives to be a mentor to somebody within the school district. And what they do is they buddy up, and I forgot there's a name. There's like a buddy, brown buddy. I forget what the name of the one of this particular school is, but they have an actual name for it.
Peer mentoring.
Bronco buddy.
Peer mentoring, it is peer.
Yeah, so it's a Bronco buddy, you know, obviously their mascots are Broncos, so they're calling them Bronco buddies. It's an actual class, so it's an elective that they're taking, and they buddy them up with somebody either with special needs or somebody with social emotional needs. Just simply have trouble finding friends, have trouble joining other activities, and they pair them up within this one class, I should say the class period, and they are with them side by side. And if anything, they're with them to make a new friend. And then also if, for example, if this buddy wants to join cheer, let's just say for cheer, for example, or wants to be part of a dance competition. So they're buddying up and they make this new bond, they make this new friendship. So it not only helps the person that is in need, whether it be social emotional needs or physical needs, it also helps the person taking that elective, and I think more so than the person that has these needs, because they learn so much from these students as far as them finding out that there really is a need, and them finding out that there really are students out there that just need somebody to talk to, period. So the video that is shown, and I shared this with my fellow board members, the video that is showed from the students, from the parent that had a student with special needs. It's very touching, it's very moving, but what I took out of it from this particular this particular what do I want to say, presentation that I saw, was that the student taking the elective takes so much more home, and it helps them decide what they want to do, what they want to be moving forward. So it was very touching. At the same time, we're shouting for such a need of aides in the classroom. We're shouting for such a need of more teaching and more assistance within the classroom. who better than the students that are in there in the classroom to help them help other students and also help themselves, to help them decide who they are and who they want to be in life. So it was a very touching, a very inspiring presentation. And I think it's something that they started with just one elective, one time period, and it's gone on to, I believe, it was something like 42 now different electives that they have for this type of assistance that's needed. And it's also moved on to the middle school level. So now these students that start in middle school are asking in high school to continue the program. It's a mentoring program, and I think it's something that we can use within our district because there's such a great need of more leadership and more help within the classroom itself. I should also mention that Downey has started something similar. It's not at the total level of what this other district has going on, but we may be able to learn from what Downey has already started and try to start implementing that within our district itself. It's something that I think is really good to look into. So that was one of my biggest takeaways from our conference.
Thank you. Esther, do you want to go next?
To add to. what you
Yeah, did you attend that one as
I
well?
did mention
Oh,
it, but
okay.
I did read it in one of the programs that they have, and I have suggested it before, is the Special Olympics. I know that it is intensive, it requires a lot of volunteers, but at the same time, I know I've heard from parents, we need to do more for our students in special education, and rightly so. I believe that they're right, and parents are ready to volunteer. We just need to organize them, and this would be a great opportunity if we were to start the Special Olympics at Almaty Unified. I'm not sure if there's ever been Special Olympics at the district.
I can speak to this a little bit. I don't know where that follow-up one goes in, depends on where you want to. Special, we do have a few of our students that have participated at the local and further levels, typically independently. We are working on some things I can speak to, and I don't know where in regards to sports, is particularly with our new APE teacher, and some of our electives at the middle school level right now, especially with being co-taught and pushed in this year. Moving in this direction, I can provide you some information, the board update as well this week, based on what I'm hearing from you guys today.
Thank you. Richard, you want to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is probably would be a very impactful program and offer a lot of growth opportunities for the peer mentors and of course those students with special needs. And just to personalize it, my daughter Vianney willingly at Rio Vista spent her time supporting the special needs teacher. And actually, I think went to the point of mentoring and really just guiding and connecting with the students. And she grew a lot from that. It was really a very positive experience for her. So I think this can have real impact to just kind of change and shift paradigms about how we view special needs and, you know, and volunteerism in general beyond the school site as well. Because she even went on to support the VIP program at AYSO as well. So I think that's the broader impact. I think that this a program like this can have the opportunity for.
Add a little.
Yeah.
I have to double check because I'm not at the site right now, but Link Crew did something similar. So at Link Crew, we would train the kids to be peer tutors, and then we would send them to classrooms that were in that period, specifically with ninth grade, because the transition was to bring them from the middle school to the high school. But exactly as you're saying, I had students that volunteered to be in the special ed class, especially as classes that were mod severe, and it was more impactful for the link leader than it was for the kids. And I remember one girl coming to me at the end of the year because a student had written her a letter, and she kept that. I saw her years later. She kept that. She's like, "This is how I know I want to be a teacher."
Oh.
And some of the kids like, "This is how I know I don't want to be a teacher." But it was so impactful for them learning. I like to communicate, or I didn't do well in the math class, but I really liked helping in PE. So a program like this, there's something similar. I have to check how to what level Link Crew is still doing it, but definitely the peer mentoring. We also have peer mentors in the College and Career Center that help out during the college application process. The College and Career Center trains the kids, and again, it's different from when you hear it from a fellow student, right? When a senior is telling you, "Hey, I had to do the Common App, it was really tough for me, but here are some pointers." That goes a little bit further, and also goes further when a junior is telling you, "This ninth grade class, you actually do need the credits. This isn't middle school anymore. You have to pass to graduate." So definitely the peer-to-peer is very impactful for the receiver, but also for the student that's the mentor.
For sure. Thank you.
Just to touch up and I just to like the takeaway from this, I would like to see it as an elective if possible. If we can start looking into that, explore into that, and then also if I can send you guys the link, because I don't think that the link was involved with the parent who gives her testimony as far as to how it impacted her daughter. It's a beautiful video, so I'm gonna try to work on I'll get in touch with the district to get that video in there. And yes, I agree with what was said 100%. I think the person taking the elective, the class, it has more of an impact on this type of situation than anything. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, bottom line. So thank you. I appreciate it.
And I think I'm going to what you're, I was gonna ask you, I was like, because I'm hearing also, as a senior, you need community service hours, right? You need,
We don't
Or do you-
require community services. It's good for application, but it's.
Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, it's good for your college application to your community service hours. I did it at Rio Vista a lot. So if we can, get a 2-for-1, maybe you get elective credit. Plus, if any, future teachers to kind of get them exposed, like if we can look into, and we'll do I don't want to add something right now, but we'll agree on a board. What are the 3 things, the next steps you can add to look into? Yeah. Any other comments?
Just one final one, one of the slideshows has the goal setting and accountability piece to it, and they list the LCAP implementation. And I know that we're gonna be going into the new, the new one. I would really like to see some goals specific to special education, not just general. I know that everyone's included, but I want specific, I would suggest some specific ones for students in special education.
I mean, I think this ties nicely into as well, part of our continuous improvement monitoring that we're working on with the
Yes.
state in regards to universal design for learning. We often focus on the academic piece, but then the idea of the trifecta is really that social, emotional, the other pieces of school that are really that involvement. And you often hear with special needs, like, well, they can do this goal, but it's really about, like you say, bettering their life as well in that interaction. And it does benefit. We often look at it from one perspective, and I really appreciate the fact you're saying, looking from the gen ed side too, and how you gain from being on the service side of things too, and really taking away that stigma, building those relationships and getting to know people. It really helps break down a lot of those barriers. So I think there's a lot of good work we can do in this area.
Can I just say, I love this piece. I think this is what a special board meeting should be. The fact that, the board presents, but that we can discuss with you. I just want to make a note. Like, I love that. Like, please just whatever information, I feel like that back and forth is good. Moving on to the next one. Anybody want to?
I'll do mine. I sat in the politics and advocacy session, and I mentioned this at the last board meeting.
I'm gonna continue. Do you want your light?
There was just a lot of best practices shared around how to be better advocates with our in the field, and for me the takeaway one was how can I personally be a better advocate with our elected officials at the state level regarding policy, the bills, the funding, and then how collectively we can create a strategy to support that work. Because I think we all have individual relationships here, but there's not a collective strategy in the district that can really move the needle. And if the more noise we make, the more attention we get, then the more funding we can get. And so really creating a case for support for our district with our electeds in terms of opportunities for funding streams and policy at the state level. So I would really like us to maybe during our retreat, spend some time strategizing around advocacy and how we can be better advocates as school board members.
Anybody want to add to that?
I would just recommend that we all do the legislative action week. I think that that's a good goal to have as board members. It's usually held in March. TSBA sends out interest email, and if anyone wants to join in, it's on Zoom, so you're able to do it.
I was gonna share the administrator and legislative action day is the end of April through EXA. So we'll have representation of Sacramento too for those.
Yeah, and then the other opportunity will be coast to coast as well, going
Yeah.
to Washington DC.
If I may add right now, while we were at this conference, there was a superintendent's meeting that dealt with advocacy that is germane specifically to us, because as you know, right now, you know, there might be special types of funding, let's say for facilities, that we have to put a certain percentage, and that's along the board, regardless of the budget of, the size of your budget or, you know, the impact that it has on your community. So what is being considered right now is, in that this advocacy would come in, they're asking district like us, who maybe our tax base isn't as high, where we would get a greater share, kind of like with the LCAP, where we have the concentration money that allows us to access different funds. We're in a different type of formula so that facilities aspects, we wouldn't have to have a 50-50 type of match. We would be able to get a higher percentage. So that's something I actually shared at the time President Mejia was president, and I shared that information, and I've gotten some subsequent emails about that. So I would share that with the board, because if the board is also involved with that, that could generate even more momentum. The local districts that fit our type of profile would be one. That's one very specific thing that's happening right now where we can jump on and provide some additional pressure. The other thing is, as we are looking, as Jaconda mentioned right now, in terms of the LCAP and the formation of that, and right now, as we're looking at the LCAP to make sure that there is appropriate advocacy, not only in terms of the funding aspects of it, but the structure of it, so that it's not as complex and complicated and it's streamlined. And so I don't know if you want to add a little bit about that.
It's the opportunity that there are legislators out there that are trying to improve how we get funded. The LCFF was supposed to be streamlined and not as complex. And I think my colleagues here would agree.
Intended to be like a 5-page report.
Yeah, that it gets more and more complicated. And there's opportunity, there's discussion, there's advocacy available, and your support would be really beneficial.
And also, recently, as I shared in the board update, you know, we did have a visit from Tony Thurman and some of the state legislatures in charge of the educational community. And actually, there'll be an article in tomorrow's Whittier paper, actually, about that visit. And the essence of that visit was about advocacy and funding. It was the idea that if we say we want kids to read by 3rd grade, you know, but do we put the funding to support that? Do we have the scientific method that teachers get the training, the administrators get the training, that the textbooks are aligned to that piece? You know, because one thing is to just put it out there and say it, but the other thing is to say, no, you know, in order to make that happen, what things have to happen? What type of training, what type of funding, what kind of leadership do we need within all of those pieces? And so we had a very rich conversation with the legislatures in terms of that. And to your point, I think aligning all of those efforts to make sure that these are areas that we have maybe just jointed in some degrees of, you know, things that are happening, but putting our efforts together will make us more powerful.
Yeah, I think if we have an aligned strategy, then we insert ourselves at the right time with your guidance, with CSBA's guide, whoever's guidance, like, but this is the time. And what does support look like, right? You guys just say support, but what does it look like? So is it phone calls? Is it emails? What is it, right? Are the visits? So.
And I think just echoing what Esther said, the coast to coast, when we did it last year, one of the topics was, you know, you want all these requirements for special education, right? We have to have this, we have to have that, but you didn't increase our funding. And so that was one of the biggest things that CSBA advocated for. And I mean, we haven't got more funding, but they're listening, right? And so I think, you know, one of the takeaways that I'm hearing is, as a board, maybe we strategize. And I know we kind of are doing that with the high school to come up, what is our goal for the high school, and look into additional funding and advocate and call and make those relationships. Any other comments?
Just really quick, I know that I'm always trying to see that our relationship with the city, we have so many strong political ties through the city that I don't think we're taking advantage of. So I know that we have meetings scheduled. I don't know if they're moving forward. They're already scheduled out for the year, but if we can try to make those meetings actually happen, and I know that it's limited to just 2 board members, I'd be willing to check in for somebody who's not able to attend if that's you know, if there's scheduling issues. As an alternate, just to make these meetings happen, because I believe that we are losing a lot of opportunity by not using the council members that we have within our city and their connections that they have so that they can advocate for more funding for our city, in turn for our school district as well.
I just want to add that, I think one of the things that we could also do is do resolutions to, formal resolutions. Through the board, that way we could, say, for example, if it's for funding, for the state funding, that there is a bill out there, like supporting that resolution. And also sending those resolutions to our elected officials as well. That way they could see that, yes, we're behind it, because yes, you know, we call, we email, but then you're doing a formal thing, and I think that maybe have a little bit of, leverage there.
If I may add, with the visit that Tony Thurman was at and the local, the elected officials, the statewide, it was really nice because it was like a roundtable conversation with the teacher. And they got perspective with the teacher. They were respectful of they asked us not to go into the classroom, but the conversation, they even listened to the students. What do you need? What do you like? And it was an honest conversation where they shared their feelings. They even joked, but then we just made my job a little bit more difficult, but it was.
And at one point,
really
like, the
nice.
principal was responding, they said, thank you, but.
We want to hear from the teacher. So it was really nice, and it was it was a conversation, and it was not kind of like what we're having now. I was like, no, but you know, this happened. So it was a really nice that we were advocating, not because we need this, we need that, but they saw what we were, what students have, what struggles they have with dual language.
Exactly,
It
that's
was
specific. It
amazing.
was about, the conversation was what resources, teacher said, I'm having to go outside of the curriculum to get resources. The principal said, but for one language, he said, it's for Spanish. I'm okay in English, we have it, but we're not supporting dual immersion enough in terms of the resources that we have available to our teachers and students in Spanish.
And that's state adopted curriculum, and we've been talking about the challenges that we find in the Spanish language, that a lot of the curriculum that is available is more of a Spanish, and not the Spanish that we use in Southern California, you know, Mexican or Central American Spanish, the term, so even the difficulties that sometimes come when teaching that, the conjugation of verbs. So it was an interesting conversation where by them seeing it, it advocated for what our students need and what our schools need.
Ms. Castro, can you add John's, the one for local government with our, city council?
Yes.
And with that, once upon a time, believe it or not, CSBA was in partnership with the League of Cities. And I don't know what happened, and they went away, but they had
Actual
partnership
cities?
at one
Yeah.
time, which is great. You think, because what you always say, we serve the same constituent. But yeah, maybe it's bringing that back, but definitely I agree as far as the relationships.
Thank you. Esther, do you want to go next? Something huge, one of the topics you,
I did the ChatGPT like you did.
okay, you want to talk about it and then we'll.
We can talk about it.
You
I'll
can
jump in. I didn't bring it up yet. Or actually, okay, but well, the one I thought you were gonna bring that one up, but so I didn't bring that one up on mine. What I had is the one that I sent for the apprentices. The workforce development, youth apprentices are tomorrow's workforce. Now, I didn't attend this one because there's so many workshops to attend. And that's one of the things I had talked to Dr. Yates about. I said, you know, I think maybe we should see what our goals are. And then we split up, and the good thing is it's in Anaheim next year, so you guys can come with us. So anyhow, I believe that we could do more for CTE, and I already shared this with ROP. Workforce development it's huge. These students who are also getting, you know, credits, right? And then there's articulation, so they get college credit as well. But the thing here is that they're doing hands on the job and getting paid, which is great. So there's definitely I believe a possibility to have more opportunities for our students. I know that we have a APACC supposedly at the adult school, but I don't know what they're doing, how they're serving our community. So definitely having a conversation with Rio Hondo, with the American Job Training Center, with the city as well, because they're already doing their 2035 plan. And they want to focus on electric vehicles, a small personal. So, okay, so how do we get our students, you know, get their foot on the door, or, you know, get the training that, you know, should they wish to explore that. So one of the examples that they had here in our directors here for IT, they have the first steps and why the occupation of information technology. And again, it's a hands-on, right? And there's funding opportunities for this right now. So I thought, wow, this is really good. So I'm hoping that we could explore and we're able to do more for the CTU portion of our students, more opportunities.
Oh, sorry, I don't know if you want to, back when I was a student, the city had, and I don't know if they still do, they had an apprenticeship program where they would get, or an intern program, I don't know what they called it, but it was paid for
In the summer.
in the summer. Yeah, do they still have
I
that?
haven't heard of that since, I think you were a student.
Long time, but they did have one, right? They had,
They did have one, what what Mr. Kia made me think about is Rio Hondo, I think they received the grant for, again, we have the first two classes for the automotive program here. Our kids can go on to Rio Hondo and get their BA there, and their focus is on electric vehicles. They have partnerships with, there's 3 different green vehicle companies that they're, it's Tesla.
This small
it's like
company
for
called
Federal-
Tesla, I believe, yeah.
And it's like for Federal Bus, there's 3, and they're gonna work with our kids so that our kids get priority towards scholarships to go on to Rio. And then internships that begin paying, I think it was about 30 an hour. And they get a certain amount of hours so they can get that work experience, which speaks to what Ms. Vicky is talking about.
so we're already.
Mr. Emerson and Rio Hondo. But the summer program, I have not heard of that program. Dora, have you?
I don't think it's been around since, Ray Chavez passed away, because I think he was the person that used to lead that. And we did have our kids apply for it and get the jobs, and they work with mostly Parks and Recreation, the leadership roles and learning how to administratively, work with the school district, work with students, work with families. But yeah, I haven't heard of it since, it's been about 4 or 5 years.
Because I know it's different from the CTE program, but leveraging what John said, leveraging the city and maybe, what some of those, because we can't do everything, right? So maybe some of the things that the city can, help with gives, the students jobs. I remember a lot of students applied for and they're wanting limited spots, but everybody wanted it because it's money. Students want, they need to afford for college.
And we have some good connections. We have alumni that works in the city and the city planner's
Yeah.
office. That could be a pathway for project legal engineering kids that could possibly want to do a little bit. That's civil engineering piece.
Mr. Cox?
In the area of workforce development, for our students that do have IEPs and qualify for Department of Rehabilitation Services, we're also partnering with them and have really switched over to where we're taking more a direct route with DOR in job placement, job training skills and that. So we're doing job club in that, but eventually the students, as they become juniors and seniors, they're working, helping find placement to get some job experience to see what type of fields they like. And they, for the same reason, a little bit of paycheck money helps you find something and try something. And it gives also some of our partnerships the ability to say, hey, I can take you on and teach you because it's not coming out of my bottom line initially and potentially hire you on into some of those skill-based positions.
And, oh, sorry, you can go, John.
Yeah, just, going back to that Tesla program is something I had brought up, I believe when I was even running, because it's such a big program at Rio Hondo. Our trustee from Rio Hondo, I think we can either ask or get in touch to see if there's even a way to get that program at El Rancho started, where they already go with some hands-on training. I know we had that mechanic shop back in the day when we actually used to use the automotive shop in the back. I don't know what it's being used for, or even so if it is being used now. But something geared towards the electronics portion of what Tesla's doing at Rio Hondo, so that they already have the hands-on training. They already know how to pick up a wrench or a screwdriver or whatever it is that they need to get them started and get them interested to see if it's something they even like, so that when they do get to Rio Hondo, they're already there. Again, getting back to the city portion of it, to make this all come full circle, the city is already in talks of starting a small electronics, scooters, wheelchairs, to get around in the future, in the near future, within the next 10 years, as far as that program. And again, why not start our students in the high school level that are interested, so that getting out of high school, the city already has these programs set up so that they move right in, and again, we're helping our community out. So it's something that I believe that we can definitely look into. I don't believe we're using our trustee at Rio Hondo as much as we should. So maybe extend an invite. I believe it's Ms. Vicky Santana still, that represents our area for Rio Hondo. Extend an invite to maybe sit down with us and chat and see what the possibilities are. If there's a Tesla grant out there available, so that we can use that to start a program at our high school level. And it's something I've been talking about, but I see it coming up more and more, and I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask about the current class that we have.
So we do offer the first 2 Rio Hondo courses at El Rancho High School for automotive technology.
For Tesla.
So that's what it feeds into,
Oh,
is to
okay.
that program. So the first 2 courses are offered there. We've been doing that for a while. And then our kids can take those 2 courses to Rio Hondo and continue with either getting the AA or the BA. What we're working on is that further partnership to kind of streamline it so that when they get there, they have options of internships and scholarships. And that's directly with Rio Hondo, with one of their professors in their automotive program. We also do offer the Green Tech class, which is a science course that looks at all the alternative fuels and energy sources. So our kids, like you're saying, if they're interested in, hey, I want to look at green energy, they kind of get a feel for it. So as much as we can, and we can do more, is having them explore, right? Through whether it's culinary, construction, hospitality, medical science, engineering, biomedical, dual enrollment. We want to give the kids the opportunity to explore when they're in high school. So they don't walk into college or walk out with no idea what they really are passionate about.
So getting back to the automotive portion of it, are those classes being used at the back of Rancho for
So
that
that
particular?
area, the back where the
Yes.
lift was, yes, that's
Okay.
there by the Y building. That's
And
what
are
we're
those
retrofitting.
classes being filled? Are they filled as
So,
electives?
The class is actually, it's an after-school class, and for the first time ever, they were filling, we were scrambling at the beginning of the year because we still had about 5 spots, and now we have middle school kids in the class.
So why is it an after school and not an elective during?
Because the professor comes from Montebello, he teaches in a middle school in Montebello, and then comes over after school. So it's offered as an after-school class because of their availability. That's what we do, and it actually works out great because, like I said, middle school kids are able to come and take it too. So we have a couple of 8th graders in the 4th grade.
Do you see it as an opportunity to add as an elective during class? I mean, what's
I think the
the?
schedule also, the timing of it, because it goes about 3:30 till 5, so it doesn't fit in necessarily the block that the high school has. So that's one of the things, one of the reasons it's offered outside the day. I think if we were to develop it a little bit further, and it also allows for Salazar kids to come over, because if it's just pinned to the El Rancho schedule, then only those kids can take it. But after school, we have Rivera Middle kids coming over, we have Salazar kids coming over, so it gives it a little bit more, a bigger audience. But our kids that are there, like I said this before, when we did this dual enrollment conference at Rio Hondo, our kids, sometimes our dual enrollment kids look the same. Like it's that AP kid, that IB kid, but the automotive class is a different type of kid.
Sure.
So we were able to spot them, and they were like, "Miss, I never thought I was gonna be on a college campus with their hoods over." Just the change in the way that they carried themselves from the beginning of the day to realizing I am a college student.
Yes.
Just because the class is at Rancho High School doesn't make it any less a college.
So
class.
number one, I think that's awesome, and thank you for bringing that up. Number two, shame on me for not knowing that. Number three, why are we not shouting that out more? Why are we not making that available more?
So that's it, we put out,
Exactly.
so that's in every flyer. So if you look at the flyer for dual enrollment, we put it out and blast it all over every single, that's one of the courses listed. We list all our 5 of our courses every semester. There's a lot of little things that happen at El Rancho that are not as publicized as much. They're there.
We need a good communications team to get that out there.
Yeah.
But I think that also, oh, sorry, the website, right? As a parent, a lot of people go to the websites, and I know on the website they offer the courses, but for me, as a web developer, I see a page where a student says, I'm interested in X. There should be, hey, Rancho lists X, Y, and Z, you know, some type of interactive, engaging, what is it? And I know that I've mentioned it the last 3 years since I came. We need a study session just on CTE and career and development like that, because this whole thing, it's a whole conversation, not
Yes.
just the automotive, it's
Yes.
the Los Nietos this Monday, they got an award for cybersecurity at the middle school because they're tying in their CTE program, they're tying in their tech department. It's a huge conversation that I know, you know, we're limited on time. So I do want to make sure that we do move forward with that. And I think that that can be a future study session to look into what we're doing, what we need to offer, what we need to improve, and how can we make our students. Sorry, Gisela, I didn't mean-
No, I was gonna say, when we do public, parents may know the title of it, but when we actually explain what it is. And I mean, the website, they can read it, but when they ask us like, wait, does this mean this? Does this mean that? And they ask more and more questions, they become even more interested. And actually, we're at the HOT conference and Jasmine did the presentation. It was really neat. Like, do you do this? How about this? And it was an engaging conversation of the great things that are happening at Rancho. They knew about it, but they didn't know what it was until they had the opportunity to ask questions to see how the schedule works. It really was impactful.
May I add something?
Yeah.
So I did the validation for the Golden Bell, the CTE district that got that Golden Bell. and something again that I am gonna advocate with ROP. They have the after school classes. I mean, everything does not fit in our schedule and they have classes that they meet twice a week. And they're able to service more students. The kids are able to do things hands-on and see if they like it or not. The other thing that was really important is that they're always wearing whatever outfit it is for the career. It makes a difference.
The
It makes
scrubs,
such a
you see the kids
difference.
walking in the scrubs.
Yes, I mean, it's beautiful,
Wow,
but the
to put them
culinary,
into that, right?
culinary art
Also,
students
when they
should
put the
always
culinary-
wear
yeah.
their
Yeah, that's awesome.
during class. I mean, if you wear it, you
Yes.
feel like you walk
You
up
own
and
it.
And the greatest thing
own
about
it,
Tri-Cities is the classes that they do offer after school and on Saturdays. And Whittier Union hosts when they can't fill it, they'll call us up and say, we have some spots. Vice versa, like if they have a cap of 20 and we only get $18, hey, can Pioneer kids come over? So our kids that go to Rancho High School, when Pioneer has a dentistry program after school, they can go over there. So because we offer 5 sectors, doesn't necessarily mean we're limited to the 5 sectors, because they always can take classes on Saturdays or through the other sessions if transportation is an issue.
So the other best practice that I wanted to recommend or suggest is that Golden Bell Award winning district, what they do is they do videos. They do videos of them, the kids actually doing like their automotive class. And it promotes it. They're like, oh, this is what it looks like when you're doing this or that. And again, a video would show the parents as well, like what the class is about and get the students excited. I'm like, oh, but you would need a communications.
Correct. Correct.
But in a more hands-on, one of the things I'm working on with Dr. Ventura is because Rivera Middle is so close and they have a CTE Paxton Patterson lab. We want to schedule a day for the kids to come and say, well, you did a module culinary arts, here's chef's class. Sit next to a kid in the class and experience it. Let's go to construction, let's go to sports med, so they can actually see what those pathways look like. And when they get to Rancho High School, they can decide, I'm a 9th grader, but that's the pathway that I'm building and working towards.
Thank you.
So, and we're starting the lab at North Park second semester. And so once that gets going, doing the field trip.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. This is why I love it.
We learn.
Wearing the uniforms, when we get to visit the classrooms, the kids are so proud, and when we did the culinary class and you ask them for the recipe, oh, they love it, and they'll tell you.
A Hall of Fame, right? I bet
Yes,
kids
it's
were
so
proud of the Hall of
neat,
Fame.
they really enjoy it, it's nice interacting with the students and seeing you that, and I'm like, and it's nice, it's really nice, and it builds that pride, like, oh my god, they like my food, and they're asking me for seconds and whatnot.
My
So it's
son,
really nice.
my son had the opportunity to go through chef's course, and he is to this day, that was the best teacher, the best experience. And I mean, granted, you guys all know about baseball and his love for it, but being with chef, it was just, it's
It works so well with
inspiring
the
and
kids.
it's life
Real
changing,
well with the
definitely,
kids. Real well.
definitely.
And one of the things that I know we mentioned, we need to apply for more Golden Bell. I know we got, Department Mental Health, but a lot like those Nanthos, they got one for cybersecurity. I didn't even know there was a Golden Bell for just cybersecurity. So I'm curious to see if there's any culinary, like what
There
other.
are, there's like different,
Yeah.
you just plug underneath it.
And I just want to, support like when we were there, we're like, we should have been that district, like I just want to echo.
Mhm.
I'm going to move us along to the next topic, if that's okay.
Yes.
I'm just gonna go AI, Chat GPT. That was a huge discussion at the CSBA. The board was filled, so it shows you how I feel like boards, districts, teachers, we have no idea what we're doing or what we need to do. So one of the sessions that I went to, they were talking about how they promote AI, right? As a teacher, sometimes when we're asked to use new tools, we have to get training and, there's a protocol. But with AI, it's taken over. And so they're very, they include it. This English teacher was talking about, I don't know if that's the session you're talking about, Esther. He uses AI he asks the students, okay, use AI to create a prompt for one of the questions, right? I didn't teach English, so I don't really do, but, then the students have to critique the AI response, right? Which is what I'm sure something small, but what they wanted to say was that, they want to make sure the students are comfortable with AI. AI is going to be in every sector, every industry, and just become more comfortable with it. You don't, some districts are scared of it, but it's just it's already here. That's what they kept saying, which it is, right? We use it. I mean, Siri, everything, Google Maps, all that uses AI. It's just a different way that we're exposing them to. Right now with the task force for CSBA, they're barely starting to figure out the state of California on the policies behind it, right? Because California or just states are going to have to address what are the standards, what are the protocols. So that's still to be determined. There's some districts, I need to look, I was looking for the link right now. They've already implemented some policies. They already have their school district rules, but it's still to be determined.
Yeah.
So I think for them, it was just, and then a lot of companies, I know shared it with you. They're starting to provide teacher training on which apps to use AI. Which apps are good, which apps are maybe not so good. And I know I've mentioned this at the last board meeting. One thing with AI is, especially in a district, data, right? Student data, privacy, all the apps that we're using that have a little bit of AI, it's great, but at the same time, security, any third-party security, are we monitoring that? And just making sure, bringing in the tech department, are we monitoring who has access to our student data? That's right, I don't know if you wanted to.
No, so I sent like how many questions? There was 11 questions that CSBA had, and I'm hoping that at some point that they can be answered and specific to policy because we are a governance team and one of the questions is what is our next policy review adoption schedule and which policies related to I should we review? So things like that, definitely governors. One thing that I do want to share is that LACO has an amazing resource for AI. I'm really surprised that CSBA is not tapping into them because, they said AI has been with us for a while now. It's not new, but it's just not talked about maybe. And now it's, ChatGPT, that's the big, huge thing. Not only that, but I mean, I know that teachers are using it already. I know when we went to the, what do you call it? Monterey, when the STEAM had their award, when we had dinner, they were talking about how they were using it already to create content, to create test questions. And, they're harnessing that power so they are able to, as they said at the session, teachers are able to finish this quickly so they can move on to something else. It's efficiency. And yes, it's not perfect as far as, there's concerns that students are going to cheat or that there's dishonesty. But no, the teachers are showing the students that here's what the product was, like Arlene was saying, and yet you could see that what I taught you, it didn't do it, right? So it's something for them to self-reflect on, and definitely would like to see teachers get training in it. I know that we had recommended a conference, right? That I'm sure the teachers are going to take advantage of. But so it's at the middle school and the high school, but it could even help the teachers at the elementary level. There's so many different things. I'm just hoping that we do spend some time as far as getting those resources, and again, offering the training that LACO has. They have modules that you could do online, but the teachers that say they don't know anything about it, they're able to get the training on it.
And we do have some teachers that are, like you said, exploring it. We have a teacher of our middle school that's very passionate about it. We walked into his classroom before and he's walked us through some of the things he's doing, able to connect him with a teacher out of the Rancho High School who was kind of leading that exploration at the high school. Both of them and then a representative from every other secondary school are attending the conference at Anaheim Union. Well, that's hosted by Anaheim Union. So it'll be a great opportunity for us to see in terms of in the classroom, at the desk level, what's going on, what they're using as an English teacher, as a former English teacher. That was my fear too, like ChatGPT is gonna write all my kids' essays. But there's things you can do. You can feed the prompt to ChatGPT, have it give you the essay, give the kids the SAP, now break it apart for me. Where's that basis? How could you counter? How could you rebut this statement? So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And I think that's one of the things that we've talked about is AI is not going away, but we're meeting it with this fear of, oh no, the kids are going to do this. Oh no, but instead of embracing it. And if the concern is, how do we know that the kids are getting good information? Well, we teach them how to evaluate that information. The way we teach them to, critique a website or critique an argument when they hear it. So all those different pieces, but the data security the security in terms of data sharing is the data that we do have, because AI is only as good as the data we give it, right? So making sure that we have accurate data, we can use it in all types of ways.
And how are the students responding to that?
So at the beginning, I think the conversations were more like, I know who used ChatGPT for this essay in the classroom, right? And Turnitin is one of the platforms that we use, and it wasn't able to detect it, and now it does. So I think there was a lot of fear.
Yeah.
I think teachers are now realizing it can't just be that black and white.
Right.
We need to have a way to support what we're doing in the classroom and not be another thing that we're battling.
Right.
So the kids are better at it than we are.
They're always one step ahead of us. It's funny because we'll go to a conference and I'm more like, I don't see this working. How's this gonna use? Convince someone like me who has all these questions or reservations again to like, are they gonna use it this way? Are they gonna use this? How are we gonna teach this? And it's funny to have those conversations when they talk about them on someone who has all like reservations about, well, how are they really gonna do it? They're gonna cheat, they're gonna do this, but it's here and we do need to learn how to use it. How to teach our students how to use it properly.
Right.
So, and it's true because we see it so differently.
So I asked that question today at a podcast that we had with three students from the high school. I said, what do you think of chat,
Yeah.
like artificial intelligence? How are you using it? And so it was really interesting because that's what they were talking about, the safeguards. They were saying, I want to make sure that I'm not cheating,
Yeah.
and so we're at the early stages of that. We're at the early stages of how it can be used. We talk about ChatGPT. So it's certainly they have basic introductory knowledge, and so it's getting comfortable. But I think, when we realize that this could do so much, it could accelerate learning at such a high level, I think it's when it's gonna really take magic. When you're able to say, you know what, you don't have to worry so much about the writing aspect of it, but you have to analyze and critically think and digest and come up with solutions to problems rather than just, worry about the dictation of the concept, but take us to that greater level. That's where I think we're gonna really have great results.
And I think it's gonna be super helpful for teachers.
Oh,
Like you said, as an English teacher, I used to have to sit there and write model essays, right, for my kids to break apart. ChatGPT will do that for you. I've gone in and said, okay, I need a presentation for my 9th grade English class on figurative language. It'll do the whole thing. I'll go back and say, well, I need to change this. I'll change and edit it, but it gives me a good skeleton to start with.
Are we currently, are we currently providing training for teachers or a place for them to kind of play with it, or are they just doing it on their own?
So right now they're doing it individually. We're bringing
Okay.
together that team in March. Probably a little bit before also to prepare for the conference, to go in and see where are we all at so that we have an idea of, hey, this person's looking for this, kind of split our time. But right now it's a lot more of exploration, a lot of, hey, I just found this cool thing. Check
Yeah.
this out. So we'll have those conversations with different people that I know that are interested in AI. Like they'll give me a call and say, hey, what are you doing with this? Have you looked at this extension? Are you using this? And so it's beneficial to work off of one another, but I'm really excited about bringing everybody together to share. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'll be honest with you, it's a lot of English teachers that are the ones that are really into it. But also, I mean, obviously the STEM field.
Can I add it?
Yeah.
Carry on.
So I know, CT has committees where they do resolutions or legislation to take to the state level, and we do have a committee that's working on that to give the state some direction of what we need at K-12. And then also at the college level. So we're trying to get ahead of it to be able to dictate how we want to work this, as opposed to the other way where the state is telling you to do it this way.
Yeah.
So we have at least 2 committees that are working on how to handle the situation and how much right to give to teachers.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to deal with parents, because the parents are gonna be challenging you on the grade of their child. The ramifications of it is just mind-boggling of what you have to do as a teacher to be able to teach skills, but also protect yourself from parents challenging the grades.
Cause I know when, for the STEM field, right? Oh my God, so I taught math and Spanish, I taught algebra and Spanish. So when you're talking about the resources, lack
Yeah.
of Spanish, I felt it. But ChatGPT, they're saying, for the math teachers, it can create your problems for you, especially with Common Core. Common Core is hard to create. It's not just a worksheet, it's creating a Common Core, aligned to your standards. So they were saying a lot of teachers that they're using it to create the curriculum in a way, right? As a teacher, you're gonna perfect it your own way. But one of the pros, like you mentioned, was the time that you can get back. Like I remember Sundays, oh my God, that's it. I had no life on the weekends because I was creating it in English, then you had to translate. And if ChatGPT can do that for me, then that'd be so much, I can focus on the student, right?
Yeah.
And then the other piece to it, tying into it, I know I mentioned it, Khan Academy is creating their Khan Amigo. It's an AI tutor that is going to allow to right now it's just a chat. I think they're trying to make it a voice. It's just for if you have students that, for me as a math teacher, I would use with my higher students. And my higher students are, they're working on a math problem and they need a little bit of me. They use the tutor to kind of work with them. That could be another option. We can kind of start playing with AI. And Khan Academy, what they're doing, which, ChatGPT has its pros and cons, but Khan Academy is because they know that their students are their customers. They're being very careful and they're training their AI program to make sure that it's student friendly, because ChatGPT, unfortunately, you don't know what you're going to get, right? Especially with students. But if it's, through trusted companies, they're already training their algorithms, their machine learning so that it's student friendly, because I know.
But you gotta be careful with that, because I know when you're creating problems, you're creating essays, it helps you as a teacher to prepare and get strategies. And when you rely on a computer to do those things, that doesn't give you the insight that you may need to face if a child is having a problem. You
What do
know,
you mean?
there has to be like a balance. When you're
Yeah.
creating problems, that's helping you work out the problem to be able
Yeah.
to teach it to the kids. As opposed to giving it into the computer, you're missing that piece as an educator to sort out what issues the kids are gonna face that you work out in your head and then be able to teach it. But I probably
think,
put the
yeah.
whole school, because that was the best training ground for me.
For the lesson,
Was to-
like they're gonna get stuck right
Yeah,
here.
they're gonna get stuck, right?
Yeah.
I just, you gotta find a way of the balance.
Mhm.
And again, you're having companies sometimes that don't know the little piece of the human part of being an educator. So you have to really be careful, the role of the
Yeah.
teacher, and the role of the student, and the role of the computer.
We were talking about that with a prompt that came up and we said, okay, here's a prompt, it's fine enough, I think it was a science. And then there was a word in there that I forgot the name, I don't know if it was fear. We said, if you're an English learner, that word, you might know how to calculate the volume of something, but cylindrical or something, a cylinder, that one word might stop you. So when you're using ChatGPT, being mindful as it comes out, some of my kids are English learners. Some of my kids are ready, but that's the teacher piece that would,
And I think, I'm not saying that we're taking it and giving it to
I
students.
know,
I'm
but I
saying,
think you're getting corporations are thinking like that, and that's why as
Yeah.
educators, we really need to be advocates of how we're gonna use this system in our classrooms.
and I do mean that, and that's why I'm saying to make sure that, one of the goals for the district, we need to get ahead of it to figure out what are the limitations? Are teachers gonna be using their student, their classroom email, are they using their person? Like, there's so many little nuances that we have to start getting ahead of and start, determining.
And I think like you're saying the middle ground, and then what training are we giving teachers?
Yeah,
How to
exactly.
do that.
Sorry, Esther.
That's okay. So the other thing, since we're talking about AI and technology, we really don't have something district-wide for digital citizenship and media literacy. I think we need to get on top of that as well. So one of the questions that they had was, for media literacy to help students evaluate content developed by AI, including data bias and misinformation. So definitely having something like
So
that.
sorry, I don't know if it was the limit questions that triggered it, but Tony, we just met about that, right?
Yeah.
So we have a meeting on January 17th? Yes. So there's common sense is the most common
Yes.
curriculum, and it provides 2 lessons per grade level, starting in kinder all the way to 12.
Mhm.
So what Tony and I have been talking about is how do we kick that off with the goal of having 1 lesson second semester and then implementing it full? Because that's one of the requirements that we have to do. We have to provide students with just digital citizenship lessons. And if you look at, but we haven't talked to Dora yet, but if you keep going through the lessons, there's some SEL connections.
Yes,
Because there's a lot, right? Like how to be a good person on the internet, what to
Yes.
post and what not to post in the internet. So I think we could do some collaboration with that. But yes, common sense.
Yeah,
It's
and
okay.
data privacy as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and data.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so look forward to seeing that, because we need that district wide.
Any other sessions? Director John?
Nope.
Esther?
I went to other sessions, but for a long time.
I know. Well, we can also send, we'll send it to you and then you can mail it out to the board. Really quick, just, and I want to get to this. So there was a lot of information that was sent, right? But as the board, I'm gonna try. What are the top 3 things that we want to make sure? There's a lot of things that we're gonna, get more information. I took note of it. But what are the top 3 things that we want to give the team to look into? Because if we give them everything, that's on top of everything they're doing, it's a lot. So what are the top 3 things that we as a board want to see moving forward that we want to prioritize first? And then we can come back and look at the other things.
Within each, just one per section?
I would say even just from the bullet points. Like if it could be 2 under workforce development or 1 under politics and like what are the 3 steps that action steps that we're gonna agree as a board, we're gonna move on for this school year. There's a lot of things we're gonna do, right? But it's a lot to throw to the team to say, we're doing this, we're doing that. What are the 3 things we wanna make sure that we do by the end of the school calendar, that we can do. And that it aligns with what the board's goals were for this year, right? We mentioned some of the stuff. I'm blanking out which one right now.
Academic excellence is one of the ones that we
Yes.
have, right? So the inclusion and the trifecta, both populations are gonna benefit from the relationships and.
So maybe take 1 minute really quick, think about what are the 3 that you really, really want to do, and then we'll come as a board to decide, and then we'll go. From there. Does that make sense? Like what, out of all the bullet points or all the discussion points that we talked about, what are the top 3 that are most important that you think, and that align with our board goals for this year?
And again, by area or?
By
just-
anything.
So it could be something like Special Olympics, that could be one.
Yeah, that could be one thing. So it's the bullet points. Because this is a lot.
Elective
We're not gonna
class
do all
for
of it.
elementary would be another thing.
So like maybe,
2 items that are doable that everyone can do, 2 items.
This one's doable.
That you want to
I'm
come
gonna
up
get
with successful.
You guys want
Yeah,
to-
and that we, our goal is to do.
Take it easy.
This one's already it's gonna happen.
That's already happening.
That hasn't happened yet. So we're rolling it out. We have a plan to roll it out. Yeah.
Okay, are we in agreement that common sense? Should we feel
Do you
good?
have like an estimated, like, it'll be by June or something?
Oh, yeah, the
like
first lesson will be done by June.
Okay.
So there's 2, you're required by grade level to do 2 lessons, so we're gonna split it 1 per semester. We're gonna start second semester, and it'll be the first lesson per grade level for digital citizenship. When we come back, we'll do 2, 1 each semester.
I would really hope that for the workforce development, we get all the key partners, like again, like John had mentioned, Rio Hondo, American Job Force, Chamber of Commerce, City Council, just having a discussion on like, what can we do to, do paid internships. I think that would be helpful for our students.
So really,
You're looking to
Their
advance the
relationships.
work or complete something?
So
I'm
I
looking
think
to-
it's tying
yeah.
into this one too, right? Like the relationships with local officials and whatnot, having those meetings on what they can do to better support our students. So those kind of tie in together, I think, right?
yeah, it's more action, like what will we get done by June? Like out of, we went to a conference, right? We have 6 months to go. What are 3 things that we can get done by June and that aligns with what our goals are for this year, are our goals for this year?
And we might need to like add a little bit more than just, if it's.
Yeah, we're gonna talk, yeah. Right, so for example, the workforce CTE, I see it as a study session, right, where we invite the city, we invite everyone that was mentioned. Like, and that's something that's doable, it aligns with the academic, it aligns with the LCAP, like, would that be okay for one of the goals? Top 3, Hector, John? Yeah, John? Sorry, not John, Hector,
Yeah. That's just are you looking for action steps or?
Yeah. like, what are 3 things that we can get done
A
by
study
June.
session?
on the CTE program, for example, is one of them?
We
And
can
that'd be-
identify the legal resources, I mean, is that what? I'm just kind of like,
So there's
So
a
do we want specific goals and what actions we're gonna take? Is that what we're saying?
just like what, pretty much actions, right? Because there's a lot of things that we want to do, right? But we're not gonna get to them, all of them,
So
at least by not this
Study
year.
the goal is to get this done, but by June, you would like to have had the study session.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
if that's what the board is agreeing on.
Yeah.
Alright. And so then the digital citizenship class that we
The
can
course
train
that-
teachers and
So that would be K
have
through 12.
If that's what the board,
over the
if
start.
you all
Yeah.
want that as the second item to focus on by June. So example, for the politics and advocacy, right, what I heard was maybe we have a, I don't know, strategy or conversation or meeting, it could be a meeting.
The regular.
I like Dr. Villegas's point as far as that one that he's already working on with someone. I think we should get behind that one because we have a lot of needs for facilities. I think if we focus on the one that he's already working on, that would be helpful. And then, but
And that's to be advocates with the legislature to help district like ours have additional funding. And so-
For facility?
For facilities,
Okay.
specifically for facilities in this case, because what ends up happening, either our tax base is so low that we can't access bond money that's been passed. For example, because let's say our ratio to property values is different. One, the other one would be that when we do access monies, like the monies that we got in line for, we have to come up with 50% of it. So it would be to increase that number so that communities like ours, we might get 70% instead of 50%. So we don't have to come up with the other 50.
So the item would be, what would you think?
It would be for need to provide information related to this and to continue to move forward related to how we can advocate for this particular piece. But what I could offer as well is I could there's several pieces that we're all advocating for, ERFT is advocating for, and I could put them all together so everybody has a sense of what are the different advocacies that already happen and that we can have some level of alignment. And, you know, but a simple one that we could do is get behind this particular piece of the facilities. That could be something that we can all do. But in addition to that, I can share what are the other pieces that are already being part of things that we're doing as in advocacy. I shared a little bit you know, the legislators that came here about reading and how, you know, that's one piece of the pie as well that's happening, you know, and we can all get behind certain pieces of it. But the one thing we can do is the facilities, and I can also share what are the other pieces, and we can decide whether we want to do something different.
So advocacy for facilities funding, are we,
And a summary of what
Yes.
other efforts are.
Right.
Yeah.
are happening.
is that okay?
Advocacy?
Yes, advocacy
Facilities.
specifically for facilities funding.
And current advocacy efforts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Central Black Star.
So we can still get, and I made a note, like we can still get more information on the elective class for trifecta, for example. But maybe we don't have it done by June, maybe it's next school year, so that's kind of what I'm going with, like, we'll make sure to get. Further information, further work on all of these, but what can we, you know, as a board, what will we make sure gets done by June? Does that make sense? Yeah. John. Okay, so we have the politics, the facilities funding, we have the workforce development study session, and then are we in agreement that the third one is the digital citizenship, the common sense?
Well, that one is already going on, so
Okay.
I would say that we should pick something for the students in special education. Like, especially if you're already doing the peer, like you mentioned, if there's a class that's happening, and there's a lot of kids that have open fifth and sixth sometimes.
So we
So
have
I think that the
class.
Yeah.
That they could, and that class is filled, it has good attendance.
Okay,
in the
good.
grades. So that class could serve to do some of that work.
can we explore that?
I'm okay with that, yeah. If we're already doing the common sense, I'm okay with that.
So we'll talk to the teacher.
We'll have to check, though. The only thing I will have to say, because when I had the class, it was not EDG approved, so I could pretty much do whatever I like with it. They have an A through G approved course now, so I have to make sure that it falls within what's A through G approved. So I'll put
And-
unique approved here.
And
It's
I
already
think-
in the system, it's already.
I think it's a great start. One piece we have to consider is our special needs students, often they have their schedule, something they got either offered in switch, which so it's that master schedule piece. But I think it's definitely something to explore, like where are those pinch points now? So we can be looking for that, and what may have to be restructured to be able to make this happen, because I think some structural pieces, they really limit what we
It's definitely a
have.
good starting point.
Yeah, so we'll look
So
to
add a star?
explore to hopefully implement it, if not this year, next.
And
year.
there's some things we've, like, I'll put the board update, some things we've already started that kind of are baby steps in the right direction that will be good foundational pieces, I think.
Thank you.
Sounds
The
good.
program from Downey, that was an elective, was that the amigos?
Yes, yes. It just rang a bell, but yes.
Okay, so top three, just to reiterate, number one is the looking at the elective class with the mentorship piece, you have the link group, thank you. Number two, the workforce development study session to invite all the stakeholders and kind of do this, right? A discussion to what we're offering, what we can offer. And then number three is under the politics and advocacy, the
Facilities.
facilities funding. We'll do those, that is our goal by the end. We're good?
Just a summary there, they want a summary, please.
Under advocacy,
Other
advocacy summary,
Yeah.
other aspects of advocacy.
and current summary.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, current summary.
I love it. Thank you so much, the IA team. My goal for this year is to have more conversation like these, right? We're gonna get things done. I get to hear the perspective, or we get to hear the perspective from everybody involved. And we have a plan. And we'll, work with you to make sure. Okay, moving on. I know we have to go back to closed sessions. That's it for open session, right? I don't need any motions or.
So we have to adjourn
Okay.
after closed session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Have happy holidays.
Good night, Merry Christmas.
See you. Thank you. Stay with us. Thank you.
to adjourn the meeting.
Eight eighteen. Motions, sorry, moved by Ms. Mejia, seconded by Mr. LaFarga. All in favor, say aye to adjourn.
Yes.
Happy holidays. Thank you.